time now for your business update with Yuka Roye. Hi, Yuka.
Hi, Jenny.
Nobel season is just coming to an end with that final announcement, the Economics Prize winner. Tell us about that.
The Economics Prize, the US-based researchers, Abhijit Banerjee, who's Indian-born, and American Michael Kramer and French-born Esther Duflo have jointly won this year's award for their work on fighting global poverty. The Royal Swedish Academy says that they have introduced a new approach to obtaining reliable answers about ways to tackle the problem by dividing the global issue into smaller, more manageable questions and finding answers through experiments. The prize was created half a century ago by the Swedish Central Bank in memory of Alfred Nobel and has so far been dominated by Americans and men. Duflo is only the second woman to win it.
Next now, Yuka, fighting poverty, also a big topic at the annual meeting of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund that's kicking off today.
Well, the week-long conference brings finance ministers, central bankers and private sector executives together to discuss economic development, fighting poverty and the world's financial system, among other issues. Last week, the IMF's new managing director, Kristalina Georgieva, warned that the global economy was in a synchronized slowdown, with nearly 90% of the world expected to see decelerating growth, meaning global growth could fall to its lowest rate since the beginning of the decade. At the meeting, the IMF is set to release its World Economic Outlook revised downward for this year and next year.
The US and China now have reached a partial deal to resolve their trade battle, but damage to the global economy may already have been done.
Well, that was apparent in the latest official customs data that China released today, which showed that both exports and imports fell more than expected in September. Globally, Chinese exports dropped 3.2% in September from a year earlier, while imports fell 8.5%. The month had been marked by another major escalation in its trade battle with the United States, with both sides hitting each other with new tariffs. China's export to the United States during the first 9 months of this year dropped 10.7% from a year earlier in dollar terms, while imports of American goods dropped 26.4%. Officials, though, have played down fears.
It should be said that China-US economic and trade frictions have brought certain pressures on China's foreign trade. Despite the decline in bilateral trade, the overall import and export of China's foreign trade continued to grow in the first 3 quarters of this year. The world is still highly optimistic about the potential of a Chinese market.
Yuka, how are the markets reacting to all of those developments?
Well, major European bourses are in negative territory this Monday, with many seeing that last Friday's partial deal has only temporarily halted the escalation in the US-China trade war, and that longer-term concerns remain. As you can see there, London's FTSE down, all of them really across the board, down more than half a percentage point a little earlier. In Asia, though, stocks finished trading on a positive note, with Shanghai Composite closing up 1.15%. Tokyo's Nikkei was closed for a public holiday.
Next, Facebook's under pressure as the group overseeing its digital currency project Libra kicked off its first board meeting in Geneva.
Well, that group is called the Libra Association, a non-profit launched by Facebook, and it is due to announce its founding membership following this meeting. But it comes after the project suffered a series of setbacks in recent days. On Friday, MasterCard and Visa jumped ship days after PayPal pulled out of the project, as international regulators mount pressure on the project amid concerns it could heavily disrupt the global financial system. Selena Sykes reports.
Another blow for Facebook's cryptocurrency project. Libra must not go ahead until the social media giant proves that it is safe and secure, according to a report by the world's biggest economies. The G7 group's task force has outlined several major risks posed by digital currencies in a draft text that will be handed to finance ministers at annual IMF meetings this week, according to the BBC. Regulators have already highlighted the danger of cryptocurrency being used for money laundering and funding terrorism, concerns that Facebook promised to address in recent talks with the European Union.
Right now, Libra is a project, and we announced that project a long time before starting anything, because we knew that we would have to answer lots of questions coming from regulators on both sides of the Atlantic and from other parts of the world. Our goal is only just to proactively work with them, because we want to build an open and low-cost platform that complies to the regulations.
In recent days, several high-profile partners have pulled out of the Libra project. MasterCard and Visa became the latest to jump ship last Friday. Facebook has come under increasing scrutiny since the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Its chief executive, Mark Zuckerberg, will appear in front of US regulators next week to discuss Libra. Facebook plans to launch its cryptocurrency next year.
Some more business headlines for you at this hour. And Saudi Arabia's state-run oil producer, Saudi Aramco, is due to announce its initial public offering soon. The IPO is set to be the world's biggest ever and will likely see the sale of about 2% of the firm, which could raise as much as $40 billion. The company is targeting a valuation of $2 trillion, more than double that of Apple. Singapore has narrowly avoided a technical recession. Flash estimates out today showed the city-state's economy grew by 0.1% year-on-year in the third quarter of 2019. The city-state's economy shrank by 2.7% in the previous 3 months period, raising fears it would enter a technical recession, which refers to 2 straight quarters of contraction. French energy giant Total has agreed to buy a 37.4% stake in India's Adani Gas. It will also spend $600 million to expand its access to the country. Total is the third foreign oil major to enter India's gas sector after BP and Shell, as the Indian government steps up efforts to reduce its carbon emissions.
And finally, Yuka, you've been looking at a new French agriculture law that's meant to ensure a fair deal for farmers and food producers, but that has so far failed to deliver that effect.
Well, this is a new law that took effect back in February, and it put up prices of food and drinks and limited heavy discounts by supermarkets. But the critics say that it benefited major retailers rather than producers. Let's have a look.
€800 a month. This chicken breeder had hoped to see an increase in his salary after the introduction of a law on food prices aiming to help small producers.
Nothing has changed for me. I haven't seen my profit go up. I haven't really seen any effects.
The law, which came into effect in February, has increased food and drinks prices after President Emmanuel Macron promised to ensure better pay for small producers. It means shops must sell products for at least 10% more than the price they were bought for from suppliers. Offers such as buy one, get one free have also been banned. But consumer rights group Que Choisir says the changes haven't trickled down to producers. According to their report, poultry breeders earn only 9 cents more per kilo. Meanwhile, supermarkets have increased their gross margin by 25 cents. The result, a 36-cent increase in the price of chicken by the time it reaches customers' trolleys. According to Que Choisir, supermarkets are reaping the benefits of the law rather than small producers.
We forced retailers to increase their prices and their margins without intervening. We hoped they would be generous. But it isn't all rainbows and unicorns.
The Trade and Retail Federation has disputed the report's findings and said that the supermarket prices have not increased by that much.
Yuka, thank you so much for that look at the business news today. Yuka Royer. October is National Bullying Month, and our digital parenting expert, Elizabeth Milovidov, will be on set to give us tips on how to protect our kids from cyberbullying. That's coming up after the news. Stay with us.